Where to start? Sisters. Lore 10. The Wedding Dress. A story of sisters is what I'm about to tell you. 12 to be precise. Princesses they were, very clever, very bold, caring and graceful. The 12 prides of their king father. A peculiar 12 girls, 6 of which had been raised and married off, but more peculiar was the heirloom that had been passed down from wedding to wedding for over 3 generations. The wedding dress. It was said and proven that if you wore the wedding dress to your wedding, you will have a marriage with unending peace, prosperity, and love. If you put on the dress before you're engaged and look into a well, you will see a vision of your betrothed. If you wear the dress after a divorce, you will meet your intended within the season's end. But, as with any gift, there was also a very dark side to the dress. If you wore the dress to a marriage in which one partner did not love the other, the wearer of the dress would die by the hour of midnight on the night of the wedding. Our story begins at a well, where 3 of the youngest sisters were taking turns wearing the dress and leaning over the brick wall to gaze into their rippling reflections. The youngest, Daisy, was the first to look. "Oh, no, no!" she yelled as her sisters helped her down from the well. "My husband is so old!" "No!" screamed the sisters. "Show us!" they pleaded. And so the smallest of the 3 peered with the other 2 into the well, and it was true. A very old man appeared in the reflection of the well's water. "My turn!" cried the second sister, Marigold, who hurriedly helped the youngest slip out of the gown, very easily because she was still very young, and the gown was too big for any one of them. Peering over the ledge of the brick, the second sister squealed, "Oh, he's so handsome!" "Not fair!" cried Daisy. Now the eldest of the 3, Rose, concerned more with appearances, thought it would be dreadful to be betrothed to an old man, and kindly comforted her baby sister. "Maybe you will be as old as he, Daisy." "Well, I didn't want to be married anyway," Daisy replied in a pout. "Your turn. Oh, Rose, he's marvelous, an absolute dream." Marigold then handed the dress to Rose. Thinking twice, Rose considered if it was a very good idea at all. Daisy had been disappointed and Mary had been elated. Being a 50-50 chance, Rose finally decided to slip the dress on and take a peek. Oh, but was she in for a surprise, for within the rippling waters of the well, the reflection of a beast. No. Yes. A beast solidified. At least 10 feet tall, covered in hair, a mouth filled with dangerously sharp mandibles. Rose jumped back from the well and ran in screams and tears back to the castle where 2 of her older sisters, Chrysanthemum and Lily, were comforting Iris, who was only a night away from being married herself. "Oh, but the dress is so plain," cried Iris in distress. I can't believe I'm being forced to wear the stupid thing if I already know he's the love of my life." "The enchantment doesn't work unless you also wear the dress to your wedding," Chris said bluntly. "Well, can't I wear it under a more modern gown?" Iris pleaded. "No!" Chris and Lily said in unison. Rose then burst through the door, tears rushing down her cheeks. "Oh, it's a cruel, cruel dress!" Almost tearing the loosely fit gown from off of her, Rose shoved it at Iris. "What's this? What's happened?" All 3 sisters surrounded Rose with concerned arms and kisses. I looked into my reflection, and what I am to marry is a monster!" The little sister sobbed and trembled. "No, that can't be," the sisters comforted her. "Are you certain you weren't simply seeing a ripple in the water?" Lily asked. Or a fish," Iris cooed. "No, the water was as still as night, and an ugly, hairy monster of a beast appeared. And to Rose, being fairly sensitive to the opinions of her sisters, wept for several days, knowing that it would be worse marrying a monster than marrying an old man, or a fat man, or a lazy man, because once you married, one should be the perfect image of the other. At that time, Rose was only 12 and had several years to consider her betrothed. But as soon as summer arrived, she very closely forgot the idea of marrying, and the image of the beast in the well. Several years passed, and not long after Chrysanthemum, the last before Rose to be married, was married and off to a faraway castle, a strange and mysterious suitor arrived at the castle gates. Alarmed and angry, the father king, ignorant of the image in the well, confronted the beast, asking him what was his business there. "Your kind are not wanted here. State your business." "I've come for my bride," the beast claimed. Rose, remembering the sunny spring day and the image of the well years before, hid silently within the depths of the castle, ashamed and afraid to meet her suitor. "You have no bride here." The king, in defense of his youngest three, went out to meet the beast in battle, with intent to kill him, only to quickly find himself at the mercy of the monster. Seeing her father in a compromised position, Rose quickly jumped forth and came to meet the beast. "It is I! I am his bride!" Rose spoke up, terrified. "Rose?" the king said gently, confused. "That, he is here for you?" "Yes," she said, her head lowered in shame. "Well," the king, very obviously embarrassed, met the beast with a welcoming gesture. "You must forgive me. You will grant me 3 weeks in recompense for your behavior. I will stay here with my future wife until the day of our marriage." There were sudden screams from inside of the castle. Uneasy, the king granted the beast his 3 weeks within the castle walls, where he would meet with Rose every day for 1 hour until the day of their wedding. "Oh, he's so ugly!" cried Daisy. "What are you going to do?" I have to marry him," spoke Rose sadly. There's no other choice." "You can run away," Marigold exclaimed, "and have him hunt me down. He could kill me. Or I would die out in the wild. Where in the world would I go?" Rose cried. "If you plan to marry him, you must fall in love with him, or the dress will kill you," Daisy, being the more sound of the three, said. "What?" Marigold yelled. It's part of the enchantment. If either the wearer or the betrothed does not truly love the other, at the stroke of midnight, after they are wed, the wearer of the dress will perish," Daisy quoted. Well, that's silly. Why would the dress send such an ugly, unlovable thing if it were to only end in the death of Rose?" argued Marigold. "Well, how would I know? I certainly don't make the rules," Daisy countered. "Death is something I may have to accept," said Rose as she burst into another fit of tears. And as a well-behaved and obedient child does, Rose did as she was instructed, meeting the beast every evening for an hour, for Rose knew if she did attempt escaping or denying her betrothed this one thing, her father's life would be taken at retribution. The two met in front of the fireplace, where, in the warm light, the monster was less intimidating and more welcoming to his bride. In certain shadows he was almost beautiful, although Rose did not spare him many looks, but only sitting as far as she could in silence until the hour's time was finished. Each night she would return to her quarters, where she then confided in her two sisters how dreadful it was to sit with him. 1 week passed, and the beast began to speak. Over the following 2 weeks, sharing his journey, Rose keeping her gaze to the floor, as the two entertained the light of the fire. He told her that he had not been born a beast, but a prince. At birth, his name had been Jared, a prince to a prosperous kingdom. Soon after his birth, his mother had died, forcing his father to take a bride with the intent that she would care for the child. Unbeknownst to Jared's father, The king's new bride was a jealous and evil witch who cast a terrible spell on the boy, wanting the king's love and attention all to herself. He would live as an animal, almost man, almost beast, unable to be loved by any human. Forced out of the castle, at only 2 years of age, the kingdom terrified of his condition and mystery of it, for the witch claimed only to have found a monster in the crib where a child had once been. Jordan watched from the alleyways and shadows a kingdom in search of a mistaken missing child who had but only been enchanted. Wandering the mountains and valleys, Jordan grew to find a family among sprites and nymphs within the forests and lakes. One nymph, caring for his loneliness, called upon Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and pleaded that she find him a wife. Taking pity on the beast, the goddess directed him to this castle at this very year to find his wife. As the weeks passed while the beast shared his story, Rose moved closer and closer to his side until there was very little distance between the two, her eyes often meeting his in a gentle stare, and she found herself smiling more often than not. By the 3rd week, she would meet with him sooner and remain by his side longer, enjoying his company, slowly having fallen in love with the stranger. "You certainly took your time getting to bed," Marigold noticed. "What's taking you so long?" she asked suspiciously, still disgusted by the presence of the monster. "Are you falling in love?" Daisy teased. Worried more with appearances than with the truth of her emotions, Rose jumped to defend herself. Oh, my, no, she retched. "He just won't stop talking. Blah, blah, blah. It's rude to just get up and walk away from someone talking." "True," agreed Daisy. "You don't love him at all," inferred Mary. "Well," Rose yelled, "he's big and hairy. He smells like a dog. I can barely understand what he says." "He has a tail," Rose quieted. "It's terribly inconvenient, isn't it?" "Well, yes." Mary was terrified. You're marrying them the day after tomorrow." "If you don't love him, the dress kills you," Daisy cried. "Well, then, I won't wear the dress." Rose knew this was an impossibility. Every sister must wear the dress, but Rose also knew that she did love the enchanted prince, and her demise was not on the horizon. She would say her vows, and when waking the next morning, her sisters would realize the truth. Her pride and weight in their opinions no longer the matter. "You must wear the dress," the 2 sisters exclaimed in unison. "Then I will perish." And with that, Rose went quickly, peacefully, to sleep. Daisy and Marigold. Daisy and Marigold. What are they going to do? Yes. I've got it. I should write this down. Daisy and Marigold were not as easily subdued. Staying up late into the night, the 2 sisters concocted a conspiracy and a meal for the beast the final evening before the wedding. A meal of bird and fruits, cheese and wine that would melt the palate of any prince, adding a very delicate, very dangerous herb to the monster's drink, ensuring that he would not live to say his wedding vows, and their sister would survive. The following night, the 2 youngest sisters presented the generous meal to the beast, with the king and Rose seated at the table. Honoring his visit and wishing the best to the soon-to-be married couple, the girls poured the wine and watched as the plan took its course. Only a few minutes after the beast had taken a large drink of his wine did he suddenly become very ill, collapsing as he attempted to walk outside. Rose ran to his side, crying, "Oh, no! What's happened?" As Rose cradled the monster's head, he drifted off to meet death. "We had to do something! You were going to die!" Daisy screamed. Wait. Oh, why are you holding him like that? Why are you crying, Rose? Marigold asked. It seems, the king spoke up, as he stood behind the two transgressors. She was in love with him. And the two of you, although an act of concern, have killed not only an innocent, but a perfect marriage. Am in love, Rose spoke out strongly. This is my fault. I did lead them to believe I did not love this beast because of my own prideful nature, but I do. She stood to meet their gazes. And I will marry him. I deserve to walk alone, married to a wraith. If this is my punishment, I do it gladly. And as Rose commanded, the very few in the castle gathered the following day to witness her marriage to the body of the beast, wearing the traditional gown. But as she spoke her final "I do," something miraculous happened. The whole of the castle gasped in amazement as the furry exterior fell from the body of the beast. His animal-like hind legs transformed into those of a man, and his horns broke loose from his head. Jaredon's eyes opened, alive and beautiful. Castle maids ran to cover his naked body with a robe as he rose to meet his new wife, brought back to life by the love of an heirloom dress. The end.